Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 2015 WWE Beast in the East live reactions.
Yo, what's going on, guys? John, aka Vocal Aggression, here alongside my cohort and commentary Ashton for our Beast in the East live reactions as we see now our opening contest Adrian Neville versus Chris Jericho. The Altitude Era has overtaken Japan here in Sumo Hall.
Absolutely. We've never seen this match before because the entire time Neville's been on the main roster, Jericho's been only working house shows.
I am very excited for this matchup. I remember interviews that Chris Jericho would give. So excited about the prospects that were coming through the NXT system. He said that he wanted to have matches with Zayn. He wanted to have matches, well, I mean, Bray Wyatt, he did end up having matches with back then. And another name he mentioned, yes, was Adrian Neville. So this should be quite an opening contest for the great fans here in Japan. Really jazzed up to see this one.
Yeah, this is actually a pretty big deal too because Jericho really made a name for himself in Japan in the 90s.
Absolutely. I was even mentioning that to a friend of mine today. Japan is very significant for Chris Jericho, and
Well,
certainly
and
significant.
frickin' Neville. Do we even really need to talk about his time in Noah?
Yeah, I was going to say it's very
Or no,
significant
not
for.
Noah. Dragon Gate. My bad.
Yeah, I was going to say very significant for Neville as well. Formerly known as Pac,
Yeah.
back when he was working those promotions, and now look at that standing waist lock, beautiful there by Neville. And you're gonna see a lot of things I think between these two guys because they're a mesh of styles. The high flying, even a little bit of power game. When you look at Neville, Jericho very technically sound as you see him working the wrist lock.
I think at their cores, they are in fact both high flyers. Though Jericho's always kind of been more of a high flyer. Granted, he's got a submission finisher, but let's not forget what his uh, one of his finishers at one point was a lion salt, the springboard middle rope moonsault.
I think the biggest difference, and you can attribute it to experience, you can attribute it to whatever you like, is that while Jericho is a high flyer, I think he's more conservative in his aerial maneuverings than Neville is. Neville will
Yeah.
throw caution to the wind and not think twice. Jericho, I feel like, is a bit more calculated from where I
Well,
sit,
yeah,
but
and even if he hasn't always been a calculating kind of guy, as old as he is, the veteran experience that comes along with that, you're going to be more calculating.
exactly.
Like this is a very experienced guy in Jericho. Not sure if Jericho's 40 yet, but if not, he's closing in on it. And Neville, I don't think Neville's even 30 yet.
Well, look at how smart Y2J was earlier. As you see him now, he's got, well, I think like an inverted bow and arrow going on here. He went out of the ring, he gathered himself, he's dictating the pace as a veteran should. And
Now he's
now
going to go
Jericho
into the bow and
now,
arrow.
yeah, exactly. Now full bow and arrow here. If he could just turn Neville over, and he does, and that's beautiful form by Jericho. Can't get
Yep.
any better than that.
And he's got his right shoulder up off the mat too. So yeah, absolutely. Oh wow,
Look at
Neville
that
puts him.
core strength, and Neville able to turn it into a pin attempt, but Jericho, of course, gets out.
Crowd appreciates this matchup.
As they should. Two very gifted athletes, and it's good for me because I haven't seen Jericho compete in so long that it's a nice reprieve from him, so I could really appreciate this match here, especially when the opponent is the caliber of Neville. So
Absolutely. Yeah. It's crazy to think that Jericho's been working for the WWE for like a year now, and we just have not seen him because he's only working house shows.
it seems to be a pretty sweet deal because then if we want to search them out, I mean the internet is a thing. And then you get events like this where you see matchups like this, and they may have done this matchup before on house shows. I mean, I've never heard about it.
This, I mean, that's the thing too. Like, if you want any proof that this is basically a house show and not meant to be a pay per view, this is it. Chris Jericho
Right,
only works house shows, and he's working this show because it basically is just a televised house show in another country.
right. And I'm surprised that we're still in the scientific mode in this matchup,
Oh,
but
but
I guess not
Jericho
anymore after that clothesline.
clothesline. Yeah, Neville over the top rope.
Good God,
Oh,
Jericho's
it
gonna
looks like
be.
Jericho wants a suicide dive. Oh,
Oh,
but
but Neville,
Neville,
look at that, cuts him off at the pass, and what a drop kick!
very nice, and he kips up right away. That was great.
Beautiful. And now he's measuring Jericho here. Now it's going to be Neville taking to the air. Can he vault through it? Jericho there with a back body drop, and Neville lands on his feet. Oh, whoa, whoa.
Landed on one foot. Oh,
And
triangle.
there's the triangle drop kick there by Jericho, and that's what I'm talking about with that conservative high flying. He knew great positioning by Jericho, and he knew the positioning of Neville, which was even better. and met its mark.
It's crazy because if it wasn't for Tough Enough, this would be the first time either one of us is seeing Chris Jericho at all in years. But because of Tough Enough, we've seen him twice over the last 2 weeks.
Exactly. So at least we remember Y2J's face, so to
Yeah.
speak. We haven't spent that much time apart from him. And you see now Jericho again as the veteran, going to be the aggressor. You're going to follow through, not going to allow Neville any time to recuperate, which is so smart, Ashton. Because the worst thing you could do for a guy the speed, the agility of Neville is to recuperate, to regain his bearings, and to go about dictating the pace of the matchup once again. Jericho's not going to permit that to happen.
And not only that, but giving him space is a mistake too, I think.
Absolutely, completely agree. And that's an excellent point. I thank you for making it because I wouldn't have thought about that. But yes, space definitely for a competitor like Neville, the big no-no if you're Chris Jericho.
And Jericho, as we referred to earlier, a little bit of a high flyer himself, as conservative as John pointed out he may be, just went for a crossbody and nailed it on Neville. He knew that he could, so he went for it.
And I think it's so smart, this chain of maneuvers by Jericho, because he did the crossbody that had to drive the air out of Neville, and then you see Jericho with the rear headlock there, and now he's really got him down. He's really grounded him. It does two things. It continues to drive the air out of Neville, and it inhibits him from gaining a vertical base. Because when Neville gains a vertical base, the match could shift into second gear at any moment. Jericho is fully aware of this. Again, we're just really seeing the veteran acumen of Y2J on full display here.
Yeah. It's been so long since we've gotten to see Y2J work. It almost seems like he's changed his style up a little bit.
Definitely.
Because I mean, like you said, it's much more conservative. It's not even necessarily um, it's not like he's gotten more psychological or anything. He's just it seems like he's slowed himself down to the point that everything just makes more sense.
Absolutely, and you saw that was a beautiful step up in Zaguri there by Jericho, but Neville does kick out. And that's the thing that Jericho cannot take lightly is the resiliency of Neville. Say what you will about the guy's position at this current moment, I don't think there has been any hotter prospect than Adrian Neville. The guy that took John Cena to the limit by all rights could potentially, or should potentially, I should say, be right now the United States champion. That was its own controversy.
Yeah,
And if he can beat Chris Jericho here, Jericho always brags about, I was the first undisputed champion. I beat The Rock and Austin on the same night. Well, now Neville can brag after tonight that I beat that man. I beat the, I think, 10-time Intercontinental Champion, if I'm not mistaken, and multi-time World Champion. Look at that cocky cover there by Jericho. That's what I'm talking about. You can't do stuff like that with Neville. But Jericho,
yeah.
he's just having a good time.
Neville is the longest reigning NXT champion of all time for a reason. It's not because he
Exactly.
didn't defend the title, it's because he is incredibly resilient and is difficult to put down for a 3 count.
Seemed like a snapmare takedown with the hair there by Jericho. Now look at this wrestle where he controls the arm there of Neville, so it's like an arm trap kind of rear choke or rear headlock. We got to look at the arm positioning there. Ref checking it. Little Nate's checking it. And it is legal. Neville now going to try and regain that vertical base.
Oh, I thought he was going to go for a jawbuster, but Jericho just kicked him in the gut.
Exactly. And now the knife edge chops there by Jericho. Good God. And now, Neville ducks underneath, and this was what you're talking about with space and the
Kick to the
quickness.
face, spin kick,
Chest, and another spin
off
kick.
the ropes to a drop kick.
Oh,
Oh,
Jericho
no.
ducked. Jericho ducked.
Yes, he
And now once
did.
again, oh, wait. Now on
To
the
the top.
apron here. But Jericho's
Oh,
positioning
Jericho went on
so
the top rope.
beautiful, beautiful. And then the sledge, and he got it,
Sledge.
the axe sledge. And Jericho's
Dude,
still in control.
how good is Jericho right now?
He is on point
He's
tonight. And
already
how
hit.
could
He's already hit 2 high-risk maneuvers that he knew were going to hit, so they weren't even that high risk.
and that running bulldog there, but Neville did not roll over on his back to set himself up for the Lions Hold. I guess he must have some kind of awareness to know Y2J's offense, but that's not going to matter because Jericho going for the walls of Jericho. And look at the leg strength of Neville.
That was awesome.
That leg strength coming to the forefront there.
Dude, Neville just flipped Jericho like a freaking pancake.
Now Jericho in the corner. Now look at that forearm there by Neville. Now this could be the moment that Neville needed to turn the match around and get it in his favor. And now Neville, he's got Jericho by the arm. I'm guessing the Irish whip in the opposite corner maybe coming. No, kicks to the chest first. He wants to soft Jericho up more.
Neville's endurance is really impressive, but I have to point out that he's incredibly good at selling exhaustion.
Definitely.
Because he's one of the very few guys in the business that I would trust with a 60-minute Broadway. But that being
Oh, yeah.
said, he would look dead at 20 minutes in, even if he wouldn't actually be dead.
Right. Nice duck there by Neville. I want a kick to the gut. What a measured kick to
Now,
the gut there by Neville. And now
oh,
what's he going to do here? Goes to the
oh,
corner. Oh, but Jericho,
and
look at that. Yep.
yeah, wow, Chris Jericho crushed Neville on the top rope. Can I just point out how much the Japan crowd reacted to just Neville getting on the top rope?
Right, because I think the Red Arrow has gained such a reputation throughout the world that, you want to get your cameras ready at a moment's notice. But Jericho, that straddling a Neville on the top rope, that was not strategic. That was desperate, but it still doesn't make it any less effective.
If you're
And
Chris
now,
Jericho, you should not be going to the top rope with Neville.
especially in that superplex position where you could be so vulnerable to be in a Red Arrow position the next second.
Yep,
Can Neville make that happen? Punches to the gut.
he's reversing momentum.
Oh, if he could do the front face suplex, and he does. Oh, he
Yep.
does. That's not good for Jericho. And look at Jericho's positioning. Oh, if Jericho does not get the knees up, this match is over. And Neville realizes it. It's clicking for him.
And you've got to think, even if Jericho does get the knees up, the match could be over in the other way.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, if Jericho gets his knees up, I don't see how Neville comes back from that.
Oh,
Oh,
Jericho moved out of the way.
he didn't even go for a red arrow. He just went for a shooting star.
Oh,
Oh, he goes for a run
oh,
out. Oh, right into a freaking walls of Jericho. Brilliant.
the power of Jericho. And
He
now
doesn't
this
even
is
have a he doesn't even have what I would call a power advantage over Neville. He just was in a favorable position that time.
definitely. And Neville, he's got the hand up. He may be moments away from tapping out. Neville's got to tap into reserves of resiliency he may not have known that he had if he wants to win this match. Because he is just wrenching that hold back is Jericho. And
That
Neville
is
injured
one
reserve
thing
that
that
he gets in.
Neville didn't have to deal with a whole lot when he was in NXT as the NXT champion was submissions. That's I mean, if you look at NXT, the only people with submissions are Solomon Crow and the Divas.
The only time I ever saw Neville deal with a submission was the Koji clutch of Sami Zayn, and even then, I mean, Neville showed he can endure, he can go the distance.
Yeah, and even then too, that's more of a signature new move. That's not something that Sami Zayn's ever really used to put anyone away.
Exactly. And you see
That's
now Jericho.
that's just like a really fancy looking rest hold at this point.
Hey, he tried measuring Neville. Neville got out of the way. Now this is the distance you were talking about, Ash. And not only does it give Neville time to breathe, time to recover and regain himself, but he
Got to think
could
he
turn
wants a
this.
suicide dive here.
Oh, what a dive there from Neville! Would you almost call that? Was that a Fosbury flop? Because I know we see
Oh,
ACH.
yeah, I
Like,
know what you're talking about. No, Fosbury flop is when you rotate your body in the ring so that you're just jumping backwards.
okay.
It's basically just like a standing moonsault from in the ring with a lot of momentum.
Well, that was a thing of beauty from Neville, regardless, and it met its mark on
Yeah, I mean,
Jericho.
if anything, that was
Yeah,
almost more impressive than a Fosbury flop because that he couldn't rotate his momentum while he was on the ground. He had to do it while he was in the air. That's just crazy to me.
hey, that's why gravity forgot about this guy. I mean, Jesus. And now, he's going to ascend the top rope again. Will this be the moment? Kind of surprised by Neville here, already wanting to go for it again. But then again, oh, wait. Neville thought better of it. Springboard, drop kick there. Now Jericho's in the other position. Now is Neville going to take to another rope? No, standing shooting star, beautiful cover, and Jericho kicks out.
That was impressive, man. That shooting star, holy crap. I mean, I know he can do it. I've seen him do it before, but it's just the way that he does it. It's just so effortless.
Absolutely, and you could see the frustration on Neville's face. He's now picking up Jericho by the head here. Let's see if he can make something work.
I don't
He's
know.
got knife edge chop while Jericho's on his knees. Another knife edge chop. Now a kick to the chest. Neville is cooking here.
Another kick to the chest. Neville. Oh, wow. Jericho just clocked him with that elbow.
Absolutely, Jericho now has turned this around. Tell you, Jericho has been pugnacious here. Oh, but Neville now with the reversal. Oh, Jericho had the dropkick. Scatter, could it be lion salt?
It looks
He
like it.
got it.
Oh, and he nailed it too. Oh, but
He,
he's not following up.
he didn't go for the immediate cover. That is a big mistake. But now he finally hooks the leg deep. But Neville still kicks out.
Yeah, I was hoping that would happen. I love it. It's good to see Jericho hit the lion salt. I feel like he hasn't done that in a while.
Absolutely, but you can tell what time has done to Jericho. I mean, not to be, disrespectful, but I feel like a Jericho of years past would have immediately hooked the leg, would have had a leg hook in maybe as part of the Lion Salt, but Jericho had to catch his breath there. That's something I noted. I mean, we talk about experience. Experience is a double-edged sword because experience implies age, and Jericho's been going to distance with Neville, but that's got to take a toll on his body. And Neville capitalized in his own way.
Yeah, and speaking of Jericho's body, he's starting to look more and more like William Regal.
Yeah, that quickness, though, of Neville to make that transition. Oh, code breaker, good God!
Wow, that could be it right there. But
But Jericho
Jericho's not
again.
following up again. Like you said, he is so exhausted from this match. He is not following up on anything. He could have had the win twice now, but because he isn't following up moves with immediate pin attempts, Neville's kicking out of everything. I'm waiting for Neville to kick out of this. 1, 2, and yeah, he kicked out.
And he does. And there was a time when a top, well, I shouldn't say, like a midair code breaker was lethal. I mean,
Mm.
I remember the midair code breaker that
From
CM Punk
Sheamus?
ate.
Oh, CM.
Yeah, Sheamus another one. But
Yeah, because I remember the Sheamus. I feel like was going for a top rope um, battering ram, and Jericho caught him with a code breaker out of that.
Punk, I think, was a springboard clothesline. Jericho caught him there. I mean, so that midair codebreaker again, lethal levels,
Yeah,
and I think it's the sands of time for one, the resiliency of Neville for another that made him kick out. And what a German!
that was borderline deadlift too, man. It looked like he just lifted Jericho, whether Jericho wanted him to or not.
You have to imagine all play by
Super
play.
kick.
Oh, what a super kick! But now it's Neville that really can't. Well, Neville is back up to his feet. I was about ready to say that it's Neville now that can't capitalize, but I think he's doing just fine. And another kick to that. Good God. And now could it be time to see the red arrow?
He wants it. It's just a matter of whether Jericho is with it enough to get his knees up. Because again, like I was saying earlier, if Jericho gets his knees up, this match might be over on Neville's side.
Absolutely. This is the moment here. Neville's got to have the confidence. And Jericho did get the knees up.
Yes, he did.
Good God. And again goes
Oh,
back to the
goes into
walls
the.
of the Lion
Oh,
Tamer.
the lion. That's got to be it. The lion tamer. He's not even putting his knee into the mat.
Oh, wow. Jericho gets the win.
Wow, with a lion tamer after a failed red arrow. That's impressive.
I don't
I
know
mean,
how.
I'm not super happy about Neville tapping out, but at the end of the day, that match was great. It didn't make Neville look any worse for wear, just because he did so much and he could have won so many times. And yeah, Jericho with the veteran maneuver, getting those knees up when Neville was going for the red arrow, allows him to go into what I would say is one of the deadliest submissions in WWE history. Not the Walls of Jericho, but the Lion Tamer.
Lion Tamer has beaten many a great foe. Neville's got nothing to be ashamed of. I can't say I'm thrilled with the result. It's nothing against Jericho, but again, Neville is the rising prospect in this equation. But to Ashton's point, Neville gave one hell of a fight here, and it was a great opening match. I was even getting ready to say earlier, before the super kick sequence from Neville, that Jericho, regardless of outcome, had to be having the time of his life because he wanted to work with Neville.
Yeah.
And considering the match they just put on, I would think in Jericho's mind that it was more than worth it.
So Neville ate a lion salt, a code breaker, the knees to the chest after the reversing the red arrow, and a lion tamer before he gave up.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable tenacity from Neville. Unbelievable heart. But at the end of the day, experience and the wherewithal of Jericho, which I got to commend Jericho for staying in it. I had mentioned his age earlier and how experience is a double-edged sword. To eat two super kicks and still have the presence of mind to get your knees up on a red arrow attempt, that is something else.
Yeah, I mean, he's clutch. What can we say? He's clutch. That's the thing. He might have been exhausted or too exhausted to follow up on a couple cover attempts right away, but when the clutch time came down to the wire, he knew what to do and he did it. And now we're seeing Brock Lesnar entering the building. It's so weird to see Brock Lesnar with a shirt on. Can I say that?
And the crowd and fan, absolutely. We're so used to Brock Lesnar just tearing people apart in all of his glory, but yeah, you gotta push that merch.
All right, guys. Well, this is a WWE pay per view, so there's always going to be a lot of time in between segments. So because Neville Jericho is over, wow, that was over 15 minutes. I can't believe how long that match was. But yeah, because that match is over now, we're going to cut recording, and this is going to be our first segment in our Beast of the East live, or Beast in the East live reactions. We'll see what comes on next. I'll tell you guys right now, I've already heard a rumor that the John Cena tag team match is the main event. If that's the case, I don't think we're going to do live reactions to it because it's literally just a Raw main event and not pay per view worthy.
All right, we'll see you then, guys.